Hello everyone, welcome to day 2 of the Shamanic Map of Advanced Manifestation. Hello everyone, welcome to day 2 of the Shamanic Map of Advanced Manifestation. What a joy to be here for day 2. We have switched to the computer, so fingers crossed all comments are gonna work today because this really is an interactive session. I'm just gonna have a sip of my coffee. As everyone makes their way. And it's been such a pleasure to read so many of your homeworks, to see so many of you guys taking it so seriously, to get so many of the responses that we've been getting via DM. Just note there might be a little bit of a lag on my response time or Nika's response time, purely because we've got over 600 people signed up, right? And we've got over 270 something people in this group, going to 300, and it's growing every single day, all of the time. So we are just going through things logically in terms of messages and homework, but we will be getting back to you at some point soon. Hello. Very excited for day 2. Very excited because this is the secret weapon to manifestation. What we did yesterday, my computer's doing this delightful thing. I've just switched to Facebook and it's doing the delightful thing where it shows me no one is live. And there's no one here, but then when I go to the other Facebook thing, we've got lots of people live and I can see all of the conversations. John, no tea, that is a really important question. Hi Roddy, Kate. I've actually got coffee today. We're changing it up, but I have already had tea today, obviously. What is a day without tea? Lucas, my head tech, we tested this. Is there anything that we can do? Probably not. He'll be in the chat somewhere. There's nothing that we can do to see the comments. Why does this keep happening? All I want to do is see the comments. And we literally did a trial before I went live today, to make sure that we could see all the comments. We set it up via Facebook. We're like, okay, we're not going to do it via the phone. We're going to do it through Facebook, and it's going to be amazing. But it's one of those things. It's an interesting thing, and we'll talk about this in Soul's Body. And I'll use this as a teaching opportunity. Sometimes when we're on the brink of something bigger, we've got a bigger group, right? We're holding more, whether it's a bigger group, we've got more people that have signed up to this than we've ever had before, right? These types of glitchy things happen, right? And you'll notice this in your life, right? You've got a new business project, you've got a new goal, you meet a new partner, and this kind of stuff comes up until that's normalized. And really what the soul is seeing, what the universe is asking is, can you hold it? Can you hold it even if it's not perfect? Can you hold it even in the tech glitch? Can you hold it even though you prepared and you did all the things and you thought it was going to be brilliant and then something happened that was out of the plan, that was unexpected? Can you hold it in both circumstances, right? And sometimes that's just what it is. So we're going to roll with it. We're going to go straight into it. Please keep commenting. I can only see 4 comments at the top. John said a day without tea is not a good day. I like the fact that this is becoming part of the training. A day without tea is a good day. Hello, Lauren. Hey, Alejandra. Hi, Sarah. Oh, lovely to see you here. Okay, brilliant. So, like I said, I've been going through the homework and seeing you guys, sharing some of you guys some really vulnerable things. So firstly, really appreciate that. Thank you. The thing with personal development is that it requires radical responsibility. So there cannot be personal development. And the reason we do these homeworks is for this. If we are making someone responsible for our results. So what I mean by that is and I'm going to talk about this more today, right? Because from the emotional and mental body, it really is coming into this work of 100% responsibility. I'm responsible for the amount of money in my bank account. I'm responsible for my well-being. I'm 100% responsible for all of the areas of my life. Now, there is nuance to this, and responsibility looks different from the eyes of the soul, but from the emotional, mental body and the energetic body, it's about 100% responsibility, right? And our perspective changes depending on the body that we're looking through. And so these homeworks are they're designed to provoke you, right? Not in a mean way, not because we're being cruel, right? But in a way of like, actually, what I need you to do is be really honest with yourself so you could be bigger than your bullshit. And that's really the emotional and mental work, right? It's calling ourselves not out, because it's not cruel, it's not hard, it's not being mean to ourselves, right? Personal development, when we're being aggressive inward, that's violence. We don't need to do that. It's self-awareness, right? Loving awareness. And so through these homeworks, they're not just for me to see, they're for you to look at all areas of your life. And there's going to be some homeworks where you're like, oh, actually, my physical body, amazing, awesome, love it, doing so well. And there's going to be other homeworks where you're like, actually, these are my blind spots. And so the beauty of having a map and looking at all 4 planes is that we're really looking at the areas of our life that we're like, no, this is nailed. And you can give yourself a little pat on the back there, right? And then the other areas of your life where you're like, look, there's some stuff here. And the emotional, mental, body work is that kind of continuous work our whole lifetime, right? Hi, Nicole. Hi, Rachel. Hey, Sandra. Amazing. So lovely to have you guys here. Let me go into the group and see if I can get the comments. Give me 1 minute to see if I can get the comments. We're going to try. And if it doesn't do it, we're just going to surrender. That's what we're going to do. Oh, we've got more comments. Hello, Anthony from Boston. Mila, amazing, 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 amazing. Okay, it looks like that this is going to work, but just with a little bit of a lag. Okay, so the main principle yesterday was your physical foundation, okay? Your physical foundation, is it strong enough to hold your goals? That's what we started to contemplate and play with. Now, when we're looking at our physical foundation, we're looking at our body physically, right? But we're also looking at our business body or our career body, because they've all got physical bodies as well. And so yesterday we talked about 6 pillars to physical health: nervous system, hormones, lymphatic system, detox, nutrition, and movement, okay? Now, that's your basics. It's your basics, but it's very advanced. We're usually taught, eat well, don't drink alcohol, and you'll be fine. And then people are like, I'm actually not fine. And then, you know, we don't have enough education around this. So those are the 6 pillars, right? But in business, we've got a body as well: lead generation, delivery, sale mechanisms, conversion, client satisfaction, affiliate, you know, having systems where clients re-sign. This is all part of a practical business body. And I know lots of you guys come to me because you're founders, entrepreneurs, business owners, and a lot of people come to me for this physical body stuff as well, right? I get 2 ends of the spectrum: people that are really solid in their practical tasks, in their physical health, in their business, in their career, but then the other kind of more magic, miracles, energetics work, manifestation work they struggle with. And I get my amazing spiritual people who are so connected and so over here, but when it comes to the practicality and actually the physical materialization and the consistent running of whatever it is, their health, their business, their career, that's where we're starting to experience blocks, right? Because 4 bodies, mastery in all. That's what we're looking for, okay? So manifestation in the physical plane is basically having that strong sponge at the bottom of your Victoria sponge cake, or your, what was it, shortcake in America, right? And this happens from 2 things. So if we're speaking about manifestation from the physical body, we're saying 2 things. First thing, it's about education on how to look after the physical body, education on how to look after the business body, okay? This is a big, big thing in manifestation, big, big thing. Beautiful, just checking. Hi Dulce, hi Natalia, amazing. More people coming on, right? So education on what we need to do to have a healthy physical body and a business body and a career body, right? Those practical building blocks. And actually, this is one of the primary things that I do with my clients in the Integrated Power Healer certification, right? But also manifestation from the physical body, the words that it would say is just do the things. Just do the things, right? It's like the Nike tick, right? Just do it, right? That from the physical body, that is true. Just do it. Do the physical things. It's like the Hormozy work. Hormozy is a fantastic marketer. He's a fantastic strategist. He's fantastic at business from the physical plane. And his whole thing is just do it, do it. But the thing is, if it was that simple and there wasn't anything else to manifestation and there weren't another 3 planes, a lot more people would get results. 65% of businesses fail within the first 10 years. I'm sure that those business owners, right, especially nowadays with the amount of information that is in our fingertips, YouTube, free trainings, ChatGPT, you can put to ChatGPT, tell me how to do this marketing strategy, and it will. I'm sure these business owners didn't just sit on their ass and hope for the business to be built. I'm sure these business owners actually actively did the business things. But 65% of them fail in 10 years. Now, I don't like the word fail, and especially when we talk about soul's body tomorrow, I don't really believe in failure. But they didn't get the result. They weren't able to manifest that which they desired, right? Now, if we look at corporate structures and we look at the churn rate within corporate structures, which is basically kind of how long people stay within a corporate career, stats are showing 3 to 4 years. That is not a long time. And actually, if we bring it back to the physical body stuff, studies by Deloitte showed that 47% roughly of people that leave, right? People that went with an objective, because lots of people go into corporate, lots of people go into these careers thinking that this is the thing, this is what they want to manifest. 47% because of burnout. If we look at burnout in business owners, right? How many business owners report burnout in statistics and studies? About 54% in a survey done in 2024. And I'll write these studies out for you. If you noticed yesterday on day 1, I put the bullet points in the study so you can see it and you've got time to integrate, right? But yes, we've got the physical body and that's impacting people not getting to their goals. But there's another 50% of people, right, that aren't getting towards their goals. Whether it's in a corporate structure, whether it's in a business owning structure, a founding structure, or any other structure. So why is that? That's the question we answer today. That's when we know it's not just as simple as just do it. There is something else at play, which brings us to manifestation from the emotional and the mental body. Okay? Because when we look at manifestation from the emotional and the mental body, getting results and creation, it's no longer about just take action, just do the things, right? It actually disproves that success is just about action. And in my time of training many, many people, whether it's in business, whether it's, well, I do manifestation, I do the broad spectrum because I believe in a life well lived, and business success without other manifestations. Ultimately, our core desire is that we want it all, right? But let's take the business context, the people that I work with in business. I've done a training before and I've literally gone, here you go. This is exactly what I did. You can make your first million with this. Go, fly. It is proven. It is done. And what is absolutely remarkable, and it is remarkable to watch, because it's one thing looking at the studies and it's another thing to actually just watch human beings. And I've worked with hundreds of people at this point. There will be a percentage of people that are aligned internally, and I'll explain what that means in a bit, right? And they will take the plan and they will go do the thing, and then boom, Bob's, up there, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. That's what I was going to say. What a weird thing to say, Hannah. I haven't said that. I don't think I've ever said that, but there you go. That's another funny thing about these live trainings. For those of you guys that are teachers or you do these talks, and sometimes you say things and you go to yourself, I've never said that before. Anyway, it always makes me laugh, right? So we've got a percentage of people that just take action and there's not really any inner resistance because the result doesn't bring up anything for them, or the action steps don't bring up anything for them. And then you've got a group of people that the second they hear the action steps, it's like all of their stuff comes up. And it doesn't feel good. And I noticed that start to happen yesterday. But I've seen this enough times, right? People text me, the messages like, oh, but I feel this. And then as I thought about my goals, and then this is coming up and I'm not sure if this, I love it when you share this with me. Because when you share this with me, I can actually see what's going on for you, which is what is called the block, right? Emotional mental body is when we look at the blocks to the goal or to the action. It doesn't matter, right? And then you've got another percentage of people, right? So you've got this percentage of people, their stuff comes up, they resolve it, and boom, they get the result. And then you've got the percentage of people whose stuff comes up and then they don't want to deal with it. And so then they don't do the course, they don't do it properly, they don't get the result, right? The amazing thing with, and I only ever teach business with this work, because if not, I'm doing you a disservice. I could give you a plan for all of the results I've got. I could give you the exact methodology in which I met my partner, the exact methodology in which and we're obsessed with this, get my exact framework. I use it because it brings people in, right? We're obsessed with this. Give me the exact thing that you've done, because we're so obsessed with that's going to give us the result. I'm going to do exactly what they did, right? And then I'm going to make that money. But the truth is, it's action steps, but it's your inner reality that allows it to work or not. Now, there are many, many mechanisms, about 2-3 mechanisms in which this happens. We're going to focus on a couple today, right? But to teach a business plan without this, to teach a health plan without this, it's setting yourself up for failure. Because the physical body is only 25% of what's going on and exists. And it is always my desire to set my clients up for success, right? So I give them all of the information. This is why I talk about the full map. Now, what happened yesterday, Tashi? Are you here? Is Tashi here? Hi, Gesa. Tashi, you here, darling? Let me know in the chat if you are. So Tashi yesterday said the most brilliant thing. And she probably didn't even realize that it was brilliant. I'm not sure if she'll be here on the replay. But I don't know if any of you guys caught it. It was fantastic. I said, you've got to look after your physical body. Looking after your physical body is part of getting extraordinary results. I said, I treat myself like an athlete, physical body as well, right? It's important for my business that I go to Pilates. It's important for my business that I get my acupuncture. It's important for my business I do my nervous system practices. It's important for my business that I eat well. It's important for my business that I get health tests. I get health tests regularly, and I'll talk about that in a bit, right? That's important for my business because my well-being is important for the business. And Tashi, she's here, amazing. Tashi, do you remember what you said? It was fantastic. She goes, oh my God, my mind just said, I don't have the money for it. Boom. That is such a good example of how the thoughts that we think bind to the present moment. It's like, that's how we're making the cake. Except emotional mental body is jam, okay? Instantly. I don't have the money to do that. Tashi's putting a laughing face there, right? Now, Tashi, as you said that, I'm very happy you're in the chat because this is very helpful for me. As you said that, classic, yeah. Don't have the time, don't have the money. I'll talk about those in a bit. So many of us blame all of the things that we can't do in life. I don't have the time, I don't have the money. At the beginning, I didn't have the time or the money. I was working 4 jobs and I made the decision to become the person that had time and money, right? But that wasn't congruent in my physical reality when I first started saying it. I created that. But if we have the thought, I don't have the money to do that, and it goes unchecked, that becomes your reality. Now, one of the mechanisms that it becomes your reality is this. Tashi, how did you feel when you thought that? How did you feel when you thought that? And anyone else in the chat, when you want to do something because it's good for you, right? And remember, lots of the things that are good for us are inconvenient. We talked about that yesterday. But you don't think that it's possible because of some perceived limitation. How do you feel in your body? Because I'm having to watch this in a strange layout, there's a little bit of a lag on the response. Yeah, and it's still not showing in my delightful other place. It's all good. I felt like I'd already failed and I can't do it, so what's the point? Yeah. Boom. Do this thing that's going to be good for you. Automatic mental plane comes in. I don't have the money. I can't do it, so what's the point? The feeling. Failed, defeated, yeah. So many people are addicted to the feelings of failure and being defeated. And that's the exact reason they don't have the results they want, because they could get it, right? Exactly, Kate. Boom. That's what we're going to get to. And contracted. So what type of action do you guys take to make money or create time when you're feeling defeated, failure, frustrated, disappointed? What type of actions do you take in your life? This is the simplest way that we manifest. This is the simplest way. This is what Bob Proctor taught. This is your mindset chat that we're having right now. But just because it's mindset, just because it's the basics, doesn't mean that we don't need it. We do need it. We have to remind ourselves of this all of the time, because this is the responsibility piece, right? We eat ice cream. There you go, exactly. When we're feeling defeated, we eat ice cream. So instead of going to do a money-making activity or an action that's actually going to lead you to what you want, right? Which would be make money, look after health, we eat ice cream. So there's a model of manifestation, which is the simplest model, but it's so helpful. And it's thoughts create feelings, feelings create actions, actions compounded lead to results. I'm failing. I can't do it. Poor me. There's not enough time. There's not enough money. The feeling, defeated, failure, frustration. The actions, not doing the business stuff properly, getting distracted. Results, you end up not having enough money and not looking after your health. So the first part of the emotional mental body is to bring awareness where there is thought. Now, for my really spiritual people, I love you. And one of the things that people that are very focused on hypnosis, they're very focused on modalities that reprogram, they're very focused on the very woo spiritual planes, right? They're not focused enough on observation of self in the present moment. Sounds too basic, affirmations. It sounds too basic to change your thoughts. But if we bring awareness to the thoughts that are coming through, we don't have to get lost there. We don't have to blame ourselves. We can just question, is this helpful or is it not? Is this creating something that I desire or is it not? We're not going, oh, I'm a bad person because I had a thought and then I felt defeated. No, now we're in a loop of like blaming ourselves for a thought. It's not that. It's just, oh my God, I just had a thought that I can't look after my health because I don't have enough money. I wonder what I do when I believe that. I wonder what type of behaviors that leads to. And I wonder how that's impacting in the results that I've got. Oh, cool, amazing. Then I can change the thought to, and it gets to be this simple. What if? I'm not even asking you to declare it as an affirmation because you might not believe it at the beginning. What if I do have the money? What if I can look after my health? What would I be doing next if I believed that I had the money and I could look after my health? Or what I might be looking for, minute things that I can do now. Instead of doing nothing, because defeated says, why try? I'm going to do nothing. Instead of doing nothing, you might be like, well, I'm going to do this course that costs $200 and I'm going to do something. I'm going to do free techniques. I'm going to make sure that I walk every day. Like, for example, one of the things that I do for my health is that I sit at a bloody desk all of the fucking time, right? I've got a digital business. It is by definition via screens. I love it because I'm extremely introverted. So it works really well for me, right? I've got a treadmill under my desk. So my desk goes up and then I walk. Not an expensive thing. Both things were purchased from Amazon, right? And it means that I'm in movement, which is good for the lymphatic system, good for the nervous system, right? Ticks 3 of my pillars, but that was only available to me because I thought it was, right? My biggest thing is lacking action and consistency. I seem to start with something with amazing intention and then it tails off. Yeah. So why does it tail off? It's still this self-healing model. And we're going to go to some deeper stuff as well. But it tails off, right? Because you start, and this is lots of people's, by the way, pattern in manifestation or goal setting or business. You start and you're naive, right? And you're like, it's going to be so easy, it's going to be brilliant, it's going to be amazing. And then it takes longer than you expect. Or the first strategy that you try, it doesn't work as well as you thought, right? Or your mum says something, or your dad says something, or your brother says something, or your son says something that sets you off. And then that thought appears. Oh, I'm silly for even thinking that this could work for me. This works for everyone else but me. That's why I talked about manifestation is happening at all times for everyone. So for those of you guys that are convinced that it's working for everyone else but you, right, we're bringing that into check. Each belief system that you've got and each thought that you've got has got a line of destiny. Right? So if you believe that to create success, you're going to have to sacrifice your health, what behavior will come from that? If you believe that you have to sacrifice your health for your success, you're going to have poor boundaries. You're not going to say no to things. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then the line of destiny is that you've lost your health and you've got the success. The second that you question that belief, this is the self-healing model, because you bring awareness to your inner dialogue. The second that you question that belief, right? Oh, what if it's not true that I have to sacrifice my health for success? Now you're going to start taking steps that are in alignment with that. So you might hold a greater boundary at work. You might start noticing that automated behaviors start happening because belief changes behavior. Most people try and change behavior without changing the belief. So you're relying on discipline. Discipline doesn't work because it's not how the human being works. This is why education is so important. Belief, thought, feeling leads to behavior. Humans simply don't do what they need to do. They do what they feel like doing. They do what they feel like doing. So we've got to go to roots cause. Belief, thought, feeling. So every day, the more that we do the feeling and the thought work, in terms of success and manifestation, this is where we start to see these big shifts. And so we change the thought, well, what if I can have success? And what if I can have health at the same time? You're now probably going to start being like, well, who is someone that embodies both of those things? Let me go training with that person. What type of things is she or he doing? Oh, they've got a treadmill under their desk. Maybe I should do that. You've just set off a line of destiny, but only when you question the thought does the new potential become available. Now, the thing with this work is that some people have got super duper sneaky thoughts. We all do. We've all got inner dialogue bits which aren't helpful. And so part of going to the next level in manifestation or our careers or whatever we want is very often getting blind spotted. I once had a client say to me, or someone say to me, I'm just that none of the mindset or affirmation stuff works with me, and I've got to only do the really deep stuff, and if not, it doesn't work with me. Let's take this. If you believe that, you're not going to do the basic work, so it's not going to work for you. So we bring this awareness because it can look like, that can look and feel true. But is it helpful to believe that it doesn't work for you? That's a fancy fucking limiting belief. It's not helpful. I believe that every course, every product, every activity, exercise, everything I do works for me. And so in that, when I take courses or activities or do things, I do it in a really committed way naturally. Not because I'm trying to be disciplined. For those of you guys that know me, I'm extraordinarily lazy actually. I love being in my home. I don't really like going out of my home. I only like going out for a few events. So I'm like, la, 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 la. Everyone thinks I'm an extrovert because I'm so excited for like one afternoon. And then I'm like, okay, bye. I'm a hermit crab. I'm done now. Right? But the commitment, right? And the commitment comes from the belief that I'm going to get something from it. Okay, first mechanism, okay, of the emotional and mental body. Now, there are many, many, many ways, many ways to do this thought work. The Byron Katie 4 questions. I'm going to do an amalgamated version of that, which is combining some shamanic stuff and Byron Katie stuff for your homework. So if you do any homework, do today's, because it's going to give you an accurate picture of what's going on in your subconscious mind and what type of thoughts might not be allowing the results that you want. Affirmations, okay? People poo-poo affirmations. I poo-poo affirmations sometimes because affirmations aren't enough in their kind of own without anything else. But as a piece of the shamanic map for manifestation, really helpful. Basic thought awareness. We're never above that. Journaling activities that bring awareness to the thought. All of these things are for this type of work. And they can really, really, really increase your life exponentially. I remember before meeting Craig, I kept manifesting really unhealthy relationships. And I did a lot of these activities to discover what were the things that I was thinking that was creating an undesirable result. And I do all of these activities with my clients, and so you can see it, right? You know, when we work together, I help you blind spot. That's one of the big things that I do. And I discovered I had this belief that I was unlovable, right? So I cleaned it up with basic thought work. And I met Craig 3 months later. But it's when we take this basic stuff, right? This mental plane stuff, this understanding thoughts create feelings and feelings create actions and actions create results, right? And we compounded it, and I compounded and I put it with the deeper healing work. That's where things really blew up for me. So it's the conventional manifestation work that I've just talked to now, plus the deeper stuff. That's where really, really you become a pro at manifesting, right? And this is why the courses that I've got don't just focus on the mental body without the other stuff, they compound both. So in shamanism, or where I was trained, the facilitator would say a lot, Chris would say a lot, what in you needs to die for the new reality to be born? And I was laughing about this with some of my VIP clients because we've got this WhatsApp support where I'm really helping them like as things are coming up. And she was saying, like, you know, she asks herself all the time, what in me needs to die for the new me to be born? And even like chat was like that, toning it down because it sounds very intense. I quite like the language that we received in the shamanic training. I'm Spanish, so maybe, I don't know, there's the part of like the dramatic Hannah, the telenovela that likes it, what in you needs to die for a new reality to be born. What that means, what I'm going to explain right now, that sounds like you've got to die to yourself. And this is a big thing that people have got with personal development. They think it's got to be heavy and hard and I have to cry and this. And there's a space for that. There is a space for that. And we do have some trainings that are like that. But actually, it can be a lot more subtle than that. So let's talk about the distinction between thoughts and beliefs. Thoughts are thoughts that you think, you know, thoughts are thoughts, things that pass through our mind once. Beliefs is simply, and this is only this is only what a belief is. We think it's this big heavy thing to change and it's going to be so difficult. A belief is literally a thought repeated many times that is now embodied in your neurology. That's it. You have got a neurological connection, a network connected because you've had a thought many times. So that thought that you've got that I'm unlovable, it's never going to work for me, I can't have success and wealth, people don't love me, I'm, you know, always being treated poorly, I'm a woman so I can't scale to the top of whatever corporate company, whatever it is that feels so true and painful, it's literally a thought that has been repeated multiple times. It is not the truth. It is not your destiny, because fate and destiny can be changed. There are many timelines that you can choose. This is more energetic work and we're not going to get to it yet, okay? But what we need to understand is that the thoughts that we have as we are presented things in our life, so physical body, something physical happens. I hold my phone. The thought that I think is telling me about the beliefs that I have, right? Now, the beliefs that we have are usually not conscious. Usually they come from 0 to 7 years old because our mind is in this state of hypnosis. There's this increased plasticity in our neurological connections in our brain growing up. And so this means that as we see things and as we think thoughts, instead of having to repeat them many, many times as adults to create shifts, there are much faster ways to do it, but that's one of the ways, that's affirmations really, right? As a child, you go to give dad a hug and dad says, I'm too busy. And you in your child brain who doesn't know how to process this goes, oh, there's not time for love, boom, becoming belief. So the problem is our subconscious mind is very often not a match to our conscious desire. We desire the relationship, but subconscious mind says there's no time for love. We desire the business success, but subconscious mind says I only feel safe in a state of stress. So I will not give you the result because if you get the result, you have to relax and you don't like that, right? Those are the belief systems. And so those belief systems inform the thoughts that we think all of the time. This is why Joe Dispenza talks about being addicted to the self, addicted to being the habit of you, right? Yes, this reminds me of the 100% responsibility in the other trainings. Yes, Nicole, exactly that. So we're addicted in thoughts. The thoughts that we have are repetitive, right? But we're also addicted to our feelings. Some of us are addicted to rage. Some of us are addicted to shame. Some of us are addicted to feeling defeated. Some of us are addicted to, and the distinction is when emotions, and I can't go too deep into emotions today because that would have to be a whole workshop on itself. And I teach the emotional body separate to the mental body in the integrative healing system because there's so much to go into. But in essence, we want emotion to be flowing through the body. So, when we look at acupuncture, you're looking at the chi, right? Flowing. But when we are addicted to an emotion, what's happening is that we're looping. So when we've got an emotional system that's working as we desire, it's like, oh, I feel sadness. Cool, the sadness is gone, right? It's just like this natural flowing sensation of emotion, right? But when we have moments in which we don't know how to process the emotion can get stagnant and stuck. So maybe you have a failure in business, or you have a failure at school, or maybe someone picks on you. You stand at the front of the school class and you say, this is my poem, and everyone laughs and you feel so ashamed and there's so much failure flooding your body, but you don't know how to process it in that moment, or you're sick, or you're tired, or you don't have time for it. That failure starts to get stuck in the body. And so what starts to happen is we just start looping these feelings of failure. And we think to ourselves, oh, I'm just someone that feels failure a lot. I'm just a defeated person. We start identifying with these thoughts and these feelings without realizing these are just programs that we've got in our computer. The computer of you in the emotional mental body has got thoughts, which become beliefs, and that's a thought program, a belief, and feelings that become programs that are actually viruses, right? And so this starts impacting our manifestation. This is what I call the quantum healing model, and it's the more advanced version of the self-healing model, and I go into this again in the certification in much more detail. For those of you guys that come into the in-person cert next week, I told you to study these two models in the workbook, but I'm mentioning it now to remind you, right? And so when we're talking about dying to yourself, this is basically a very dramatic way of saying closing the belief systems that don't serve you and clearing the feelings, the emotions that have got stuck to get that out of your vibrational field. So firstly, you can discover actually who you are beneath that, right? But so you can also program things in that are going to create the line of destiny that you want. Manifestation via the emotional mental plane is the reprogramming work. But the reprogramming work happens mentally and emotionally. And you've got some modalities that do both. And some of the shamanic modalities are fantastic for this because they clear thought and they shift the feeling. But there's lots of modalities that just clear the feeling. I do a lot of this work with my clients, or just shift the belief system. And so the emotional mental work, it's like back to this, creating the environment for your manifestations. Instead of being like, I have to create it, I have to make it work, I have to force this into reality. It's like, no, how can I create the environment where what I desire is just a natural part of my expression? So we're looking at our physical health first, physical body, the emotional mental body. We're looking at our mind and our feelings as a flower bed. And the first phase is we have to clear what thought have to go, what thoughts are weeds, right? What belief systems are weeds? The craziest thing with this is like what I had to do to get to 6 figures. I cleared all these weeds and I planted and sowed all these seeds. And then to go to 7 figures, I realized all the seeds that I planted for 6 figures were now weeds for 7 figures. So every level will require a process of this, right? And whether that's career, whether that's business, whether that's love, whatever it is. So in the emotional mental plane, we want to be responsible, but we want to be self-loving. Oh, I just found a weed. Oh, I just found a weed. We're not going, I am a defeated person and I am inconsistent and I'm so... No, we're just going, oh, this is a program. Let me clean this up, right? So the way that we do it is as important as the actual reprogramming. So like I said, in today's homework, we're going to look at a goal and we're going to look at some of this work for you, right? Looking at actually where mentally am I not congruent with what I want? Where do I have a goal and a desire for increased finances or increased relationships? Or actually for some of you guys, you might be really strong in both those things. And now you're going into like fulfillment in all areas of your life. The first part is looking at, well, where am I having thoughts and beliefs that aren't a match to that? Oh, I don't believe that I can be a successful corporate leader woman and also have lots of friends and also feel good in my body. Oh, I don't believe that. Oh, that's really good to know that. Let me clean that up, right? And then after that, we sow the beliefs and the frequencies, the feelings of the desired result. So that could be the belief system that you can have it all. That could be the belief system. Lots of people have got a major conflict with wealth. Even some of the wealthiest people, like multiple 8-figure business owners that I've worked with, have all of these conflicts about their wealth because we've got so many confusions and distortions in our consciousness around this, right? And so the fact that they believe that it's bad to have wealth, but they want to have wealth and they've got wealth, means that they don't allow themselves to enjoy it. That belief system has that behavior attached to it, right? So the belief work, the emotional work, isn't just think good thoughts, it's getting into alignment, right? Through thought and feeling to the desired results that we want. And this is the exact work that I specialize in with my clients. And it's really mind-blowing. And sometimes I still find it mind-blowing with the type of experiences that my clients had. I had one of my clients in my certification. We did a process where it was like a shadow work clearing process where for 2 years she'd been trying to get her daughter into this very fancy school. But in the process, she realized that she judged the fancy school. And she judged the fancy school as something that was not her place, that they didn't like her, that they rejected her, right? She projected onto them that she wasn't accepted. And so then that reality was that. It was literally the most insane thing because she cleaned that up and it's just such a tiny thing. This is what I mean, like the emotional mental body can be these really deep, big modalities, but sometimes it's these little tiny micro shifts and it's like, boom. The next day, and this is not even an exaggeration with timing, sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slower. And the reason that I say that is that if you're addicted to fast results and it's not fast, then you'll get into that doubt thinking and then that's going to have a consequence, right? So, but the next day she got accepted into the school, and it was a funny thing. She took her daughter to the school, and she realized that she didn't even like the school, and it had just been this weird obsession of desire. And when she got it, right? And so sometimes the manifestation journey is like that, but it's only through experiencing things we get to learn what we really, really want and love, right? I'm going to speak really quickly to emotional clearing and trapped emotions. I'm still live here, but I have to drive to the city for a meeting, so you're Bluetooth in the car. Saying that because I won't chat, but I'm here. That's all good, Nicole. It makes me laugh because sometimes people put me on loudspeaker, and and I swear you guys can have whatever thoughts you want bound around that, right? But I'm someone that swears, and so it was quite funny. People will be playing things, and I say something a bit shocking, and the shopkeeper hears it, or someone at the petrol station hears it. So I always get stories about that type of thing, and it makes me laugh. Okay, so trapped emotions, right? So we've spoken to the emotional mental plane is thinking better thoughts, present awareness, right? Dying to ourselves, which is the reprogramming work, which is equal parts clearing what's not congruent and sowing what is consciously, right? The final thing is trapped emotions. And I just want to touch on this really briefly because so many people don't speak to trapped emotions. They stick in the emotional mental plane, and it's all logic and it's all mind. And this is amazing and it's beautiful and it works some of the time, right? But sometimes it's an emotional frequency that is stuck. And I know I've spoken to this. So let's say you've got disappointment, let's say you've got failure, let's say you've got shame, let's say you've got grief, let's say you've got any of these things stuck in the body, right? And let me give you a very tangible business example, right? There's been all of these, failures you've had in your business. You launched the business and you expected this, like, whoa, you're amazing, we love you. And there was literal tumbleweed. Or maybe you faced a lawsuit, right? Like, this shit happens in business. One of the reasons that people don't allow themselves to be successful is that they're subconsciously fearful of lawsuits, legal problems, being seen too much, responsibility, right? All of this is emotional mental work. All of this stuff is what I help people clean up, because I call it the invisible threads that block your success. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean it's not happening, right? Now, let's take a lawsuit. I love a lawsuit. Go on. Well, no, that's not what I meant, universe. I love talking to legal things because it really cleans up a lot for people. People have fears of legal things and people have fears of taxes, right? And sometimes we manifest situations like this. This is more soul's body stuff, but I'll drop it here as a little seed for tomorrow, because the soul knows that you have to be free of that fear to go to your next level, right? And so you manifest the exact situation to go, well, right, it sucked, but I didn't die, so I'm going to be okay, so I can allow myself to go to the next level. But what happens sometimes is that we don't have this work, we don't have the processing skills. So the lawsuit happens or the breakup happens, and it's meant to be the thing that takes us to the next thing, but because we don't know how to process it, the emotion gets stuck. And so let's say the lawsuit, the emotion is fear of, going fully in. So the thought form could be, because thoughts create feelings, feelings create thoughts. That's the quantum creation model. We're not going to go into it, but that is it. You've got this thought form of like, if I go all in the business, what if something bad happens again? Then it's going to hurt. I don't want to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to teeter. I'm going to look like I'm doing the business things. I'm going to look like I'm doing the goals things. But actually, if I sit myself down and I'm radically responsible, I know that I'm not. Like I literally know that I'm not, right? And the feeling could be just this massive contraction. It could be this feeling of fear. It could be a feeling of panic. It could be a feeling of disappointment. It could be a feeling of being blindsided, whatever it is, right? What's also happening on the emotional layer is that you go to do the thing and then the negative feeling is activated. And it can feel really annoying because we're told this shit like, oh, if you're on the right path, it feels good. Not true from the emotional mental layer, right? Only do what feels good. If you've got stuck emotions and you go to do an action and the stuck emotion is triggered, it's not going to feel good, because you have to do the self-awareness work to clean it up, right? And so that's where we want to look at emotional clearing. Now, it takes about 2 fucking minutes to clear an emotion. You don't have to do a big process. There are so many modalities. And actually, this is why I teach a multiple modality approach in every single body, because sometimes it's appropriate to do an hour process where you go into the original wound, right? And you go, and sometimes it's appropriate to take 2 minutes to clear something and you're liberated from it. And it doesn't have to be this massive thing, right? And so the reason that we want a breadth of tools is that we become then versatile in, oh, I'm feeling this contraction as I go and commit to my goal. Let me go do this practice. Oh, this feels actually deeper. Let me do this hour session, right? This is what mastery looks like at the emotional and mental plane. But simultaneously, we've got the fast modalities that clear the emotions and clear beliefs. We've got the longer, deeper processes, and we've got the current self-awareness of how the mind and the emotion is operating. And actually, if we want to become self-healers, which is what I teach people, if you certify with me, it can be to work with others, but a lot of people, it's like because they value that high level of mastery internally, right? It's actually just to learn this for the own mastery of self, which is going to lead to you having all of the things that you want, right? Becoming a master of manifestation, because manifestation is always happening, always at all times, right? It's just learning how to consciously control that current of your life, right? So quick thing I will say about trapped emotions in the body is that someone said emotions impact physical health. And so emotions impact physical health in 3 ways, okay? The first way emotions impact physical health is that if you have a thought, well, emotions and mind, right, about your health, and the thought is, why bother, right? I had to work through so much of this because my mum died at 56 and I look like a little mini carbon copy of my mother, right? And there was all of this stuff for me that happened. Well, what if I die at 56 and and like there was so much anxiety. So the belief system became, I've just got a weak body. Like that's what I genuinely believed that. And so that stopped me caring for myself properly in the way that I could have done. But when I saw that and I was like, actually, I decide that I am the fittest and healthiest I've been, and I only get fitter and healthier the older I go, right? My dad's 77 and runs 10K a day. So I'm watching my dad and I'm like, link in with this mindset hand. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking insane, my father, right? Building greenhouses, climbing things, going on like all these trips, hiking, God knows where, right? 77, no medication, nothing. So very extreme examples from my parents. So the thought creates the feeling, which creates the health habit. That's the first way the emotional and mental plane impacts health. The second way is when there's trapped emotion. Sometimes this shows up in physicalized things, right? So emotions show up in physicalized things within the body, right? That's the second way, okay? And then the third way is that if we've got trapped emotions, it's magnetizing experiences to us, right? But I'm not going to talk about frequency and magnetism until Saturday because that's really energy plane, and some of the emotional work is a little bit blended with the quantum work, right? And I've only separated it to give our mind a structure to understand it. Okay, amazing. I'm going to jump off and pick up my daughter from school. Thank you, Hannah. You're so welcome. So let's start bringing this to a close. The homework, it's going to be really simple. Now, some of you guys are going to feel resistance to doing it. And if you feel resistance, you get to practice this work, right? So you're going to pick a goal. And then your mind is going to say things. And instead of pushing it away and judging ourselves, Ted Lasso style, we're going to be curious. So if you say the goal, your mind's going to go, oh, but maybe that's too big jump for me. I've only created these increases in this time, or I've had these bad relationships, or my body is weak, or whatever this stuff. And you're going to write all of this stuff down. You're not going to censor yourself. You're not going to push it down. You're not going to pretend that this isn't happening within you. Because to get to the new destiny, let's take the shamanic work, to get to the new destiny, the new timeline, what in you needs to die. all of these thought forms that come up that aren't congruent, right? This is the stuff that needs to die. This is the stuff that we're going to look at. So I'm going to ask you to share that. Now, for some of you guys, you might want to keep it private. You might want to drop it in a DM, right? That's fine. For some of you guys, and like my clients are fucking legends. Like I can't even explain. Like sometimes I think to myself, you know, oh, we're going to go really deep. This is going to be really uncomfortable. And I show up on a Zoom call because we do lots of our actual trainings on Zoom calls. And like they're so like, oh my God, this is me, this is my, and they're so like, I don't think I can use the word vulnerable. It's like they're so honest, and it's the biggest pleasure in the world because it's so easy to work with people that are honest with themselves. The worst thing that we can do is shut down and not communicate, because no one can fucking help you if they don't understand what's going on, right? But like if you just show up and you're like, these are the thought forms, and people are like, oh, I'm so sorry for, I'm like, no, that's helpful. Thank you. What I'm really good at, and this is about, you know, the four modality clearing for those of you guys that did the giveaway, is that the second that you just, I'm going to see what's been holding you back because I'm outside you. I can blind spot you. It's the easiest thing in the world for me. And also I've worked with hundreds of people and I've done hours and hours and hours and hours of this work, right? It wasn't just I was born with this. I think I was born with a gift for this, and I'll talk about that again tomorrow in the Soul Blueprint. But like I've put my hours in, okay? So we're just going to write down all of the stuff. And then I'm going to ask you to go through, and this is going to be you practicing your self-healing. And I want you to identify the belief systems, right, that are not helpful. That's the language that I'm using. They may have been helpful once, right? But they are not helpful now. Now, you don't need to go back to where you thought this came from. None of that. We're just going to keep it really clean. Okay? Goal, everything that comes up around it. Highlight the belief systems, right, that you think are there. Now, if you struggle with that because you're new to this work, very often when I say to people, give me belief systems, give me feelings, people get confused between thoughts and feelings. Like, so if you get confused within yourself, that's totally fucking normal. At school, we were taught algebra, but we weren't taught how to like be a human. And it sounds like a ridiculous thing to say. We weren't taught about our emotions. We weren't taught about emotional expression. We weren't taught about the unconscious mind. We weren't taught about thoughts, right? We weren't taught it. So if you go to do this exercise and you know, you've got questions, just ask them on the thread. Like if you've got the question, someone else is going to have the question. And then I just want you to ask yourself to all those belief systems, is this helpful? Is this not helpful? And then you're going to put the ones that are not helpful through a really simple question process. And some of you guys just in that process are going to have a shift. Some of you guys just in that process are going to have a shift. And some of you guys are going to have a shift that's going to be a physical shift. Some of you guys are going to have an internal shift. And I want you guys to understand how powerful this work is. One of my private clients, Christy, who you guys will meet, she often, like the way that our one-to-one works, and with my VIP WhatsAppers as well, is like something comes up and she just sends me an audio and I decipher what's going on for her, and then we just clean up the belief systems, right? So this is a couple of months ago, or maybe before the summer. Anyway, she sends me an audio and all of this stuff has kind of been coming up for her. And around visibility and being seen and what people think and all of this normal, delightful stuff that most high performers face as they go up a level, right? And we looked at it, by Kim, we looked at it, she cleared it, and the next day she texted me, right? Hannah, I've just been invited to talk at Cannes Film Festival, and I've just got 11,000 more followers. Sometimes it's that quick, sometimes it's not. It was a simple clearing we did. We did a few more things that I will do with you guys here because I don't do the deeper healing processes in a free container because it's bigger and it's, you know, that really is in the paid space, okay? But it was still simple belief shift stuff, and we did some emotional clearing. I've done this with a client. I remember did a one-to-one session with her. I did an emotional clearing, one of the super quick ones. She had all of this grief in her heart, couldn't sell her retreat, wasn't selling out. Boom, next day sold 3 spots. I've got so many stories like this. And the reason that I use these stories is that if you believe it's possible, remember, thought creates feeling, which creates action, you're more likely to do the homework. And if you do the homework, then you can get transformation from this free experience. And like I said at the beginning, this is free, but I take this seriously. It's not the same as maybe one of our year courses. But if you do these homeworks and you do these activities, I've had people on free events do an exercise like this, struggling with money, the next day get a promotion from nowhere. Today's homework is important. If you do only one homework, today's the homework to do. I'll put this on the thread. Thank you so much for coming today. Super appreciate you. Tomorrow, Soul's Body, which is the soul blueprint, like the genetics of the soul, which I really haven't heard people talk about, and how the soul manifests darkness to discover its light. And so we're going to start looking at manifestation from a completely different plane. Physical body, foundation work, emotional, mental body, right? The emotions and the thoughts we bind to the physical reality, whether they're helpful or not helpful. Helpful means they're aligned with what you want. Unhelpful means they're not aligned with what you want. That's it. Soul, body, and manifestation. And then energetics is, again, how we anchor into that desired potential. So that's more of my quantum work, okay? And it all works like together, like this beautiful sandwich. Okay. Thank you for showing up today, and thank yourself for showing up for yourself, because that's really what counts. And I will see you tomorrow, and I'll see you in the emails, and I'll see you in the Facebook group and everything. Ciao. Bye. Oh, how do I end this on Facebook? Ah, here.